Do you think I can grow prize-winning spring flowers? This year I'll be taking part in the Caley Spring Bulb Show, and it's going to be a tough one because it's new environment and new conditions for me this year. Last year I entered and I got some prizes for the spring flowers that I entered, and it was a great experience and a lot of fun. So let me take you back in time, back in October, and show you how we got here, where we are today. Today, I'm back at the Stockton Park in Edinburgh because something special is happening. So a bunch of us YouTube and Instagram growers have met up to plant our bulbs. Yes, because we're all growing for the Caley Spring Bulb Show in 2026. Eli, Max, Sandra, Guy, who are also on YouTube, and also Jill and Karen, who are on Instagram, were there. I'll pop their channel names in the description so you can check them out and see how they're getting on with growing their spring flowers. This was Eli explaining the different divisions of daffodils, and this particular one was quite funny.
Division 3 are my favourites. They're the ones that got a tiny wee squashed, trumpety nose. And that was my favourite thing from when Pam was teaching me that. She was like, big pug nose. So those are my favourites. I love those.
I picked up my bulbs and then it was time to get planting. When planting bulbs for show, you're only allowed to use a pot of up to 3 liters. I loosely placed the bulbs on top of the compost because you want the roots to go down and get the nutrients out of the compost. I mainly chose to grow daffodils, but I also had some tulips as well as some hyacinths. Then I put all my pots in the crate and took it to the van to take it with me to the allotments. I've come to the allotments where I've got this old raised bed. So as you can see, I've just cleared this part of the raised bed and I'm going to turn it into a plunge for my spring bulbs. Plunge is simply a fancy word for a controlled environment for our spring bulbs. I'm going to remove the soil from this part of the raised bed deep enough so that I can put my pots for the spring bulbs in there, because here at the allotments we get deer, we get rabbits, we get squirrels. So we do want to make sure that, we are protecting this raised bed. I wish I was as speedy as in this video. As you can see, I removed the soil in this part of the raised bed, but before I start actually plunging, burying my pots of the bulbs, I want to make sure that the space is large enough for all the pots that I've got, because this year I've got twice as many pots as I had last year, so that's a lot more bulbs. So I'm going to place all the pots, see if this area is large enough, or if I actually need to remove a little bit more soil towards here. And yes, I did have to remove more soil because the pots couldn't fit in the space that I had initially made. So here we go. All the pots are in the plunge and I'm really happy about it. They all are looking fine and sitting nicely. So as I mentioned, because this is a controlled environment that I'm creating, what I can also make sure is that it's getting the protection it needs. I'm just going to add this wire mesh along this side, so making sure that nothing can, start digging here and then get to my bulbs. And then for the top, this is an old, I think this came from the chicken coop actually that we had. So again, and nicely enough, because I've got this edge right here, so this panel will just sit on the top and protect anything that will want to try and get my bulbs from the top. So again, no birds can land on this part of the raised bed. So I'm gonna have this wire protecting my precious pots. Here you can see I'm adding the chicken wire along the edge of the pots and securing it using bamboo sticks. A very important aspect that I want to control in my plunge is the soil. Because this raised bed is used throughout the year to grow veg, so I want to make sure that there's lots of good nutrients, making sure that the soil is not depleted from the nutrients, because we want, we only have 2 or 3 liters of compost in each pot. So it is really, really important that we provide the nutrients for these precious bulbs. I've got soil improver, also some chicken manure pellets. So I'm going to possibly mix the whole bag of soil improver into this existing soil and then sprinkle some chicken manure pellets as I go as well. Here's how the soil looked after adding the pellets and the soil improver. I then covered the pots with about 6 inches of soil. Finally, it was time to add the lid, and then the pots were resting in this plunge for about 5 months. Fast forward to February, it was time to get the pots lifted out of the plunge. It was quite obvious that the bulbs have grown because you could see them popping through the surface of the soil. Lifting pots out of the plunge is my favorite part of this process because it's like digging for gold. Once the pots are out of the plunge, we need to put them somewhat protected because we want to protect these new growth from all the elements around us, like wind and rain particularly. And as you can see, I bought this little shelves with a cover as a temporary measure, but it is an absolute chocker. I have too many pots. And some of the growth is so tall that it's actually hitting the shelves. So we need to get a second one because as Fraser has pointed out to me, keeping the pots in the car is quite an expensive cold frame. So I got myself a new one. Yes, that's right. I had more pots waiting in the car. Let's unbox it together. Inside the box we had the instructions and a protective cover for when the cold frame is not used. There was also some tape. Then the parts of the cold frame like the back panel, the lid, the shelves, the side panels, and the doors. One of the good things about this kit is that it's already got holes pre-drilled for you. So that means all I need to worry is about putting the screws in. What are your thoughts?
No comment.
As you can see, my cold frame is ready. It's got the lid that lifts up if we want to increase some airflow. And then we've got a couple doors, 3 shelves. I don't think the height between the shelves is actually much larger than the one that I've got behind my back. But obviously I've got so much more space, so that means all my pots can potentially fit in the cold frame. So what I'm going to do now is go get the pots out of the car, and then the pots will basically stay here for the next few weeks, potentially all the way until the Caley Spring Bulb show. It just looks so much better. I'm so much happier. Now all my pots can rest in this cold frame. For the first week after I've lifted the pots out of the plunge, I won't be giving them any water, and then I'm going to add some trays and basically submerge the pots in these trays with tomato feed. But for now, I am very, very happy. Every couple of days I'll need to turn my pots 180 degrees, just to make sure that obviously the stems and the leaves grow straight, because that's really, really important. We don't want them to be wonky. And I might have to move my pots around as well, just to make sure that they're not always staying in the same position, because obviously some of the pots, particularly lower down, will be in the shade, so they might not develop as fast as I want them to. But for now, I'm super happy. And I think Simba's impressed as well. You're happy? This is the journey we've been on so far. Follow along to see if I can put anything on the show table, and potentially can I take any trophies or rosettes back home with me. Give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Have you ever entered a spring bulb show? Would you like to know more? And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. I'll make sure to keep you updated as how we get on with this growing journey, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.